Hey everyone, it's Lindsay. I'm here today to share with you some more distress ink techniques, and this time I'm going to react my distress ink while it's still on my stamp. I'm going to be using the Merry and Bright stamp set from Two Paper Divas, and everything in their store right now is 40% off because they are closing their shop. So if you want anything, you want to run over and get it now. It's very much on sale at a really good price, and I doubt anything is going to last much longer. So I'm using my micron pen here and my Tim Holtz ruler, and I am measuring a 1/2 inch down from the top of my watercolor paper. And this measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is Canson watercolor paper, nothing spectacular. Now I do want to say that yes, I have my overhead light on. The lighting is a little bit, I've got my shadow in there, but it is getting dark at like 4 o'clock here. So I don't have a lot of daylight to work in, and it just is what it is right now. So I am sorry about my shadow. I'm looking into different light bulbs, but right now this is what I have, and I would rather put a shadow video out there than nothing at all. So I am using Simon Says Stamp black dye ink, and I am inking up this little lined image of the light bulb, and I am stamping it to make it appear as if it is hanging off that little line that I drew before. Now, I was going to draw this right underneath, but because I am doing stamping on both the top and the bottom of the line to make it look a little random, I decided to go a 1/2 inch up from the bottom, and I had enough room to stamp above this line as well. So I'm going a 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the cardstock panel now, and I'm drawing another line. And again, I will just bring back in that lined image and stamp it just exactly like I did before with the same black dye ink. And this is a waterproof ink because I'll be using quite a bit of water today, so I didn't want any of my ink to run. So I am just randomly stamping this, some facing up, some facing down, and just being really random with my placement here. I do want as many light bulbs on the card panel as I can get, so I'm just trying to kind of fill in the spaces now. You can see I'm flipping it over, making sure that I have enough room here and there, and then I'll just stamp my final little one here. Now in this stamp set, you not only have the lined image, you also have the solid image. So if you just wanted to stamp with color, you could do that. I'm going to actually use this to color in my images that I stamped the line style ones. So I have my distress inks off to the left hand side there, and I'm using a rainbow color. I'm also going to be spraying my stamp with some Perfect Pearl water. It's gold, and I made this myself just with some water and some Perfect Pearls. I masked off the top where it colors in the actual part that holds the light bulb. I just wanted the actual bulb to be stamped up with ink. So I just masked off that top part, inked it up, gave it one spritz, and then I'll stamp it down. Now, if I were thinking ahead, I would have done all of my red color first, then moved on to my orange, that whole thing, but I didn't think, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next color, which is orange. I'm using just little post-it notes to mask off the top of that. You don't have to use post-it notes. You can use scotch tape, masking tape, washi tape. You could just use regular paper and hold it in place if that's all you have. Use whatever works for you. So I inked that up with some spice marmalade this time, gave it one spritz of water, and then I will stamp it down. Now I found that if I hold this on there for just a few minutes, it almost gives it more color. It soaks into the paper a little bit. So I hold it on there for a few minutes. Now I'm really going to speed this up and let you see all of this come together. So I went on with some mustard seed, did some crushed olive, some peacock feathers for my blue, and then seedless preserves. Now this is where I got smart and I started counting off and realizing, oh, I could keep the same color out and not have to clean off my stamp every time. So I did my seedless preserves, and then I came back in and did all of my festive berries and so on. Now I found that with just one spritz, that was just enough water for me. Now you might have to do a couple of spritzes with your certain spray bottle, whatever you use, but I didn't want too much water. I wanted a watercolor look without all the work. So this is what really worked for me. So you might need to do a little playing around before you actually put it on your card. Your paper can also matter too. Some cards or some watercolor papers tend to absorb more color. Some of them really have it sit on the surface. So play around before you actually put this on your card. Now for this top part of these little light bulbs, I just brought in my pumice stone distress marker, quickly scribbled in some color, and then I'll use that same Perfect Pearl water and a watercolor brush and just quickly flatten this color out. Not flatten it, but make it not so streaky. So I'll blend it out. Now if you don't have gold Perfect Pearls, which is what I used here, you could use any color. I just wanted that shimmer in my little light bulbs, and that's what I had on hand. Now I mixed up some black soot with some water, and I am just using my paintbrush to flick on some splatters. I also did some of the Perfect Pearl color Perfect Pearls, and I mixed it with some water, made it nice and thick, and then I'm going to splatter it on my cardstock as well. And it doesn't show up until I lift it up, but you can really see the shine. Now for this sentiment, I stamped the Merry and Bright sentiment that comes in the set with some Versamark ink on a strip of black cardstock that was about a ½ inch wide. I did prep this with my embossing bag. I put on some white embossing powder and then heat set this. Now I also cut it into a fishtail banner just on the right hand side, just cut up the middle and then in from both sides. And I'll use some double-sided adhesive to put it right over that piece of vellum that I had already put on my watercolor panel. Now my actual vellum I adhered to the back so you don't see any of the adhesive. I just wrapped it around the back and adhered it on there, and then I used some more double-sided adhesive on that watercolor paper, and I'm just going to place it on a top folding A2 white card base that I made myself. I also put some double-sided adhesive on that fishtail banner that I made that has my sentiment. I burnish it down with my bone folder just to make that backing paper easier to get off, and then I'm going to place it right over that vellum strip, and then I can use my long blade scissors just to trim that down. I didn't want to risk trimming it wrong, so I just wait until it's on the card and then use my scissors to quickly trim it to size. Now I use some black sequins and also some marshmallow sequins. These are from Pretty Pink Posh. They're the smallest size and they are the cup sequins. But I am putting about 5 of these down, just scattered across the card panel, and I'm using glossy accents to hold them in place, and I'm also using my quick sticks tools just to help me place these down. You want to keep your glossy accents away from your distress ink because it will have it run a little bit. You can see under my top sequin there I got a little bit of orange. That's okay though. But that finished off the card for today. You can really see the shine when I hold it up from that Perfect Pearls on both the lights and the splattering that I did. I hope you guys enjoyed this technique, and I hope you give it a try as well. I will leave you with just a few pictures. For more information and the supply list, you can head to my blog craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. The link is in the description box below. Thank you guys for watching today, and happy crafting!